Okay, we're recording. Okay,
I don't know how.
good morning.
It's
It's,
substantial.
you ready, Christie? Oh, you gotta dial it
And
up.
Lori is on the phone.
Lori's on the phone? Okay, yeah.
Unmuted.
Okay, good morning. It's Monday, July 27th, 2020, 9 a.m. This is the Muscatine County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to review the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Santos. I have a second by Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item number 3 is discussion of possible action to approve claims dated July 27th, 2020 in the amount of $836,358.66.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Nathan,
Second.
second by Scott. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. The next item is discussion and possible action to approve and authorize the chair to execute a revised 2080 agreement for mental health advocate services for Eastern Iowa Mental Health and Disability Services Region with Region CEO Lori Elam and Greg Burnett. Lori, I believe you're on the line with us this morning, are you not?
Yes, I am, thank you.
Okay, you have the floor, Lori.
Okay, we also have Greg Burnett on the line, so I'm gonna give a little brief history about the 28E for mental health advocate services, and then I think it's important that Greg give a quick brief update on what he does as the mental health advocate, and then if any of you have any questions, both of us are here and we can answer those. So the 28E agreement began long before I started working with Scott County. Some of you have been around for a while, you may remember Rose McVeigh. And Rose was our mental health advocate for years, and she actually, between her and some discussions with some other advocates, started talking about grouping counties together and providing services. And as it was, this is the 7th Judicial District. And so coming together as a mental health advocate providing services for the 7th Judicial District made sense. So we started in at that point with a 28E agreement. So this is part of code to have a mental health advocate appointed to an individual. And I'm not going to take Greg's thunder, he can talk about that. But Scott County has always agreed to serve as the employer of record. Scott County pays the mental health advocate, covers the benefits, travel, all of that, and then we are reimbursed based on a percentage by the other 4 counties. We revised this 28E to look at the percentages of each county on a quarterly basis. I know that Greg and Felicia met a couple weeks ago and went through some of the cases, and I believe Greg was going to be talking to one of the judges to see about getting some of them dismissed. And so we know that after this first quarter, Muscatine's percentage will probably go down. So each county has a percentage, and it ranges anywhere from 54%, that's Scott County, all the way down to 3% for Cedar. So as it stands right now, Muscatine is at 21%. And so we do the monthly billings out to each county. Each county then sends back their portion, and we put it in the funds, and it keeps on rolling. This is a rolling contract. It automatically renews the 1st of July every year unless there's an issue with one of the member counties. So pretty straightforward, pretty clear, and in code it describes what Greg has to do. And so I'm going to let Greg talk about that.
Okay, thank you, Lori.
Good morning, everyone. as part of the duties of an advocate in chapter 229, that lists those out in the Iowa code, as well as the human resources
Greg?
code of
Greg,
4.1.5. Yes.
we are getting some pretty significant feedback. It's hard to understand what you're saying.
Is everybody else but
I'm sorry.
Greg muted? Okay, so we'll try to, Christie has everybody but you muted. Let's try it again, Greg. Let's see if that helps.
Okay.
Sounds better. Right?
Start over, can you? Sorry.
Sure. Nope, that's fine. It talks about the mental health in Iowa Code Chapter 229-19 section, appointment of the advocate by the Board of Supervisors, as well as the advocate is, cannot be a person that does any other regional duties, to separate those out. It also talks mental health advocates in Human Services Code 441-2551. And those are all mandated by Iowa law. There's currently 63 cases that I have from Muscatine County. I'm required to meet with those people and inform them that they have an advocate within 5 days and meet with them personally within the first 15, which has been difficult to do during this COVID time. Yeah, there's, Lori mentioned talking with Felicia, and her and I had a meeting a couple weeks ago maybe, and they talked about the guardianship cases that they have that were still under commitment, which is kind of a dual commitment process with the courts. The courts have already deemed the guardian the right to make responsible decisions for their guardian. So those cases were dismissed. They're slated to have another 9 cases looked at on August 5th. If nobody brings anything in front of the court, those 9 cases may also be dismissed. And there may be a couple other ones that we can have dismissed based upon their being stable at this current time.
So this is a process that once the reason for commitment or commitment, once the individual and situation is stabilized, that commitment is dismissed? Is that what I'm hearing?
Potentially,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Potentially, the court, based upon the physician's reports, is how the court makes their determination. The client at any time during this process, after a new court order is issued, they have a right to have it appealed or dismissed as well. So those clients can get a hold of me, and we can ask the court to take a second look at the case and see if those should be dismissed as well. I do have one of those later on this week. Gentleman called me up and asked that he's been stable for a while, so he wants his case to be dismissed as well.
Greg, to whom do you report and I guess are responsible to?
As an employee on record, I'm responsible to Scott County, and in this case, my direct supervisor is Lori Elam.
In her capacity as Scott County Director?
As the employee, yeah. So my employer is Scott County, like Lori said, and then the other 4 counties pay them.
Do you receive regular performance reviews based on your services to the 5 counties?
Yes, on an annual basis, and Lori asks for information from the other 4 counties based upon how they see my performance throughout the year.
Okay.
And that's typically, my anniversary date is August 31st, so I have one coming up here.
And maybe you can clarify a little bit. So you're not allowed this is kind of a commingling between 7th Judicial District, it seems, and the Mental Health District. Would that be a fair statement?
No, the mental health district region went along with what was currently the 7th Judicial District. So all the services are the same throughout the 7th Judicial District as well. But there's other counties that have multiple judicial districts within their region. So this just happened to be the way that the mental health region set their counties up.
Okay, so all your direction and feedback comes through the mental health region management process at this time?
Yes,
Probably when at its inception, was it the CPCs that did that?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and then prior to July of 2015, the employer on record for the advocate was the chief
Judge.
district court judge, Judge Grieve.
Oh, so that transitioned from the judicial district or the court system to Scott County at that time was the decision. It's interesting, okay. But it was always, so the judicial district managed it prior to 2015 and then sent out a payment to the mental health regions? Is that how that would have been managed?
I believe so. I was hired on August the 6th, how that all transpired.
Did someone unmute?
Do you have something, Sherry?
The counties were billed directly. We contributed, there's an account number in the mental health budget for mental health advocate. So, and now the payment goes to Scott County instead.
So the mental health advocate position, we're talking, sorry Greg, we're talking to Sherry, our budget director here. So the mental health advocate has always been under the county mental health budget, and at one point it went to the judicial district, now it goes to Scott County as the employer of record. So this is a position that's been in place for a number of years.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of early sharing of expertise and, okay, good.
What's our share of that bill each year, roughly?
I think he said currently it's 21%.
No, real dollars, not just.
I'd have to look, because
Okay.
it's split between diagnosis and our budget, so
Okay.
we'd have to add the two numbers together.
Okay.
It's not a tremendous amount of money, I don't believe.
If Felicia's on the line, she might be able to answer that question. Felicia, are you here?
I am.
Can you answer Nathan's question?
I was just pulling up the budget now just to see what we budgeted for. It's not a let's see. Alright, we budgeted where are you, Greg? He is lumped into our administrative costs, so
Well, we can get that. We can get that.
get that number, Grant.
Yeah, we can get that back.
Yep,
So today, Lori, and Greg, maybe, thanks for the clarification of what he does. The question and the changes in the 28E, Lori, are to the process of going to a quarterly quarterly look at those funds, and then, to do it based on the percentage of caseload on a quarterly basis, is that correct?
yes.
And that would be looking back, correct?
Yeah, what we would do is, at the end of the first quarter, September 30, we would have Greg tell us what the percentages are by county, And then going forward, we would change that percentage for the next quarter and then just continue that process. That way it stays much more current and accurate for each county.
Greg, are the cases that you have, and if Muscatine County is what, 63 and that's 21%, so you've got somewhere near 300 cases, I'm guessing. Are these
That's correct.
all roughly the same in terms of time and energy commitment on your part, or do they vary significantly from case to case?
They vary significantly case to case.
And is the percentages, are those that are billed to each county, are those determined on number of cases or time and effort put into each case in a given quarter?
It's just strictly number of cases.
So if you've got a couple of cases that you touch, or several cases maybe, in one county that you touch minimally in a given quarter, that county is going to be billed for them just as much as a county where you're spending, an hour or so a day for a few weeks on. Would that be right?
Correct, but you got to remember when somebody's first initially hospitalized, they're going to take significantly more time
Certainly.
than a person that's, down the road 6 months.
And do you have, is there any way to characterize an average or median number of new cases that occur in a given quarter, new hospitalizations?
I can keep a tally of those.
Sure. 'Cause I'm just wondering how many cases are kind of active, new, taking up a whole bunch of your time, and how many are just kind of on hold or station keeping type, proportion wise.
And you're the only person in the 4-county area that provides this service, correct, Greg?
Yeah, I'm the only person for this mental health region.
And this is probably another day's conversation, but you mean, how do we manage your capacity? How do we understand your workload? How do we make sure that we're providing the service to the constituents that we're mandated by code to? Do we report out, our effectiveness on, so we have some timeliness requirements in the code, right? The 5-day and the 15-day, correct?
Those are at the beginning.
Correct, and then periodically thereafter. So anybody that's been hospitalized for more than those 30 days, I keep track of them at least once a month. Now, people that are in a residential care facility, I meet with them on a quarterly basis, minimally, and then anybody else that's on an outpatient treatment type, they can give me a call when they need access to my services. Now, these people do not have to talk to me at all, so it may be a new patient that's hospitalized, and they have a right to refuse to even talk to me. So.
But that would be noted in file, and you'd have some kind of a indication. I'm just thinking out loud a little bit here as to, so then the report of your activities, then our local administrators like Felicia and Julie and Lori and those would all be getting those reports on a monthly basis or quarterly basis to understand if we're meeting our obligations.
Correct. Yep. And then I let Lori know, or the counties know what's going on with each patient as they require.
Okay.
And you would have a daily charge out sheet, I'll call it, in that regard, as opposed to what cases you're working on any given day and the amount of time invested in that case in any given day, to have a running tally on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly situation?
I just do that on a quarterly basis. In code, it's required that I quarterly report on each case, but Judge Grieve has expressed that she does not want those reports coming to the court because she thinks it's a waste of her time to even look at those. So I do report quarterly on my activities to each county. If I were to do that on a daily basis, that's all I would be doing is counting those.
Oh, no.
Lori and I have talked about that, and she feels that she trusts me that I'm doing the right thing by the clients and don't need to report on each client each day, each time I talk to them.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can overmeasure. It's not worth the activity. Okay. We get that. Okay. Board members, other questions for Lori or Greg?
This is Felicia, that we budgeted 25,000.
Yep.
Yeah, Sherry had indicated we have
That's last year's actual.
last year's actual was like $27,127, I believe. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah,
and-
go ahead.
I have a question. Greg, Jim Barry, how are the, or Felicia maybe, how are the cases that need to be dismissed going forward gonna be addressed? Is that something you do, or Felicia does, or my office needs to do, just to make sure we don't have cases that need dismissal accumulating on the record, as it appears at least in part we have?
The ones that are currently slated to be looked at are under a status review on August 5th. Nobody needs to appear for those. The judge is going to make a determination right then and there. So if nothing comes in front of the court, he or she will review the case and then decide accordingly.
So then going forward, is it that same status report that generates the dismissal of the case, same process, procedure?
I'm not sure how the court wants to do that. Like I said, anytime going forward, if the client no longer wishes to be under a court order, they can get a hold of me and I can ask for that hearing. It all depends on what the judge wants to do with some of these cases. Some of the judges know these people outside of the court, and right or wrong, they make the determination that, you know, this person obviously needs court intervention.
Greg, do you ever initiate a dismissal process, or are you able to do so?
Yes,
I
and
should.
I have done so. That one cases for the client to be dismissed.
And this is Felicia. It's going to be part of our quarterly process to review cases and for me to talk to Greg about those cases to get them potentially dismissed if there's no activity in those cases at all.
Felicia, do you or will you be receiving performance evaluations and data, at least as it pertains to Muscatine County?
We receive a list of all the clients that are currently on Greg's caseload. So, and I imagine I wasn't part of the process for his performance evaluation last year, but will be this year.
Okay.
But you're seeing those, so you and Greg work, or your staff work together all the time with these clients to make sure that we're doing what we should be doing and that everything's going according to the court.
We've sure started that process to make sure that we're doing that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, and other directors prior to Felicia have done that with me as well. So that's nothing new to Muscatine. That's been an ongoing thing.
Good.
In Muscatine Community Services Office is, we kind of play two roles. Their role is to make sure that they have the budget to obviously pay for these services, and my role is to fight for the client to have the services available to them. So sometimes me and Felicia are on opposite ends. That doesn't mean that we don't have the same goal in mind to keep people well and healthy, but we just have different avenues and different roles in the process.
Could we get a tally, well, I don't know whether it makes sense quarterly or annually or whatever, of the number of folks subject to to your offices, Greg, in Muscatine County, and in what capacity they're subject? Basically, so we know who's been involuntarily, not who, but how many have been involuntarily committed and the like in Muscatine on a regular basis?
Yeah, those reports are given to Felicia on a quarterly basis.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, so we have on before the board today, so any other questions for Greg or Lori? Thank you for your time this morning. So I would entertain a motion to approve and authorize the amendment to the 2080.
So moved.
I have a motion by Nathan and a second by Santos. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5 is discussion and possible action to approve the minutes of July 20th, 2020 regular meeting. I have a motion by Santos. Second by Doug. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item number 6 is correspondence. Santos, did you have anything to note?
Yeah, I just had a email and a couple of different emails from one from a concerned citizen about a potential resolution for a bridge renaming on Highway 22. I don't know if you guys have been included on some of that
Oh,
one.
that's right.
I
That's
did.
the one, sure.
I did reply to that email, and I just got another email that kind of asking a few questions that I had in regards to the resolution. So I got another response, and so I'll share that with the team. I don't know if all of you guys have been in contact with them, just what their points are and some of their thoughts around what they're requesting. I got another email from Gina from Bi-State. I had a meeting with Bi-State in regards to normal monthly meeting, but I had asked about potential funding for COVID costs, and I shared that with you guys in regards to that, and come find out from Sherry there might be some potential dual funding that we may be looking at, so I think I copied in Brian on that as well too. Another email was just from Kurt in regards to the cabins for Deep Lakes, and so I'm gonna try to see if I can go down there when they get closer to that this week. That's all I had for
Very good.
correspondence.
I also had the Kurt about the cabins and the gentleman about the bridge renaming. I think that was it.
Okay. Yes, I had those communications as well. We also got a follow-up from Don Briggs on the ATV question. And Nancy reminded me today, which so often she has to. I knew we hadn't done anything, but where we left that, the board had left that, and just for those interested in that process, is we intend on holding a public hearing. But we will, due to the COVID situation, we're probably gonna do that at the Conservation Discovery Park. But we don't have teleconference capabilities there yet. So Bill was off working on that, and as soon as we're notified that we have those capabilities in that facility, we will go ahead and schedule a public hearing process to talk and discuss that, to bring forth a potential for the board. And that's all I had to mention. I did have those other communications.
I just had the cabins and the bridge issue as well, that's all I had.
Doug?
I had those same emails. I guess my only question on, that's the Highway 22 bridge that they're talking about.
Yeah.
And that is a state road. I don't know how much involvement we have there.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, that was, I sent a note to Keith and he did indicate that, said typically the county has not any jurisdiction or influence on state. If you remember the Douglas King Memorial Expressway they did here, the state brought that to us, and I do believe that they asked the board at some point to put a resolution together, so I think that's a process there that we probably need to think about.
Reviewing that, from what I got from the email, they have been in communications with the state,
Yeah.
I think the DNR as well too. So I think it's just something we'll further out, get some more information and see if
There's a
potential.
process
But
that we would
that's
have
what they
to
were
go through.
asking for, was a resolution.
Yeah.
In their most recent one that I had not shared with you guys, because I just had a few questions to them in regards to
Okay.
around what I saw through that.
I did get a call from Nancy Miller about a drainage problem on a hill. And I talked to Keith about that. And then Eric, I had a phone call with him on Monday of last week at Cameron. The same problem we had before with sewer flowing into the yards. And he addressed that, and DNR's been there, and that's been fixed. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
All right,
On Monday the 20th, I had Conservation Board, and they are, through the email that Kurt sent, they are going to be setting those cabins this week. Weather looks good for it. Everything seems to be in order, and this has been a long time coming with the high water, the seep water, and everything to get all the foundation work done and everything that's been involved in this. But I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to work very well, and I think it's going to be well received by the people, not just locally, but as well throughout the Midwest region, that how popular these cabins are to rent for people on a recreational basis. So it'll just drive tourists and drive dollars into the community, and I think it's a great first step.
Who's gonna be in charge of that? Is it Kurt gonna be in charge of that?
Conservation Board, yeah.
Conservation Board,
Renting it?
Conservation Board will run all that.
they run it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Doug, did you have committee reports? Okay.
And
That
that's
was
all
it
I
for
have, that's all I
committee?
have on
Okay.
committee.
I had on 7/20, we had the Eastern Iowa Mental Health Region Board, Monday. It was an electronic meeting. And on the 7/22, we had the Mississippi Valley Workforce Area, Finance Committee Board meeting. It was electronic as well. Nathan?
On July 21st, which would have been a Tuesday, we had the Veterans Affairs meeting. Not a whole lot going on because of COVID. They've canceled a bunch of the trainings. And there's one gentleman we're providing some extra bridge assistance to, as he's trying to keep him in his apartment while he waits for the job that he has obtained to start. So hopeful that our bridge assistance can enable him to get back on his feet.
Okay. Santos?
I had the bi-state on Wednesday. We got a good review of a history on the Highway 67 bridge, and that they're trying to do the Historical Society, trying to update it. Also had some challenges that they had with the Riverbend Transit with a lot of the COVID down on some of the groups that they talked about on that. Also had a trails meeting with the Quad Cities in regards to their updating, they kind of come up with a unique, and that was on Thursday, that they put up a website that allows their Quad City members to basically put connections to where they think their trails would be great for future, kind of going into the 2050 timeframe. They're just doing a really long-term kind of setup, the way it looked is what it was called, but it's a very unique website that they had set up. Thought it was interesting how they're connecting from a lot of the Quad City locations in regards to that. Also had the We Lead board meeting on Thursday. We're looking at a potential, we're actually doing a needs assessment, kind of looking at the areas and responses, trying to come up with the ways of improving in the area. Got a interesting discussion with one of the members from Lewis Rich, West Liberty Foods, I'm sorry. Really talking about how there are 73 different positions that they're still needing, and the challenges that they feel that they're running into with unemployment, still getting paid, thinking that may be a potential reasoning that they're not getting as many applications because people are still being able to draw benefits, which is kind of an interesting perspective, but I think that there may be some logic around some of those as well too. And that's all I had.
All right. Items with the administration office. Item number 8A is discussion of possible action authorizing the chair to execute a contract with Jim Geis Commercial Roofing in the amount of $243,045 for Muscatine County Jail partial roof replacement project. That was the one I think we had the bid opening on last week, correct? So this would be the contract to execute?
Does Mike have anything to say about it? Is he on the line?
No, I don't think Mike is on, this is just the contract we did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would move to approve.
I have a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Doug. Any discussion?
I had two things.
Okay,
There isn't a time frame listed in the contract, which doesn't mean it's a problem, just didn't know if,
So we asked about that last meeting, and one of the comments that we got back from Mike was that they were planning on doing it this summer / would be done. I can't remember how many weeks he said it was gonna be, a 12-week, I believe.
He said
Project.
it started in August.
Yeah, but it would be done this year. I asked that same question, cause it wasn't in there, but that's what we had recorded in our minutes from our last meeting, so.
yeah, I didn't anticipate it was a problem, it just wasn't listed. And then I, again, new on the block, I assume there's no insurance involvement in this, there's no damage to the roof that needed to be looked at from an insurance standpoint?
No.
Okay. That's all I had.
okay, thank you, Jim.
So, thank you.
Okay, other questions, comments? So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item 8B is discussion of possible action authorizing the chair to execute FY 2021 Iowa Burn Justice Assistant Grant Program contract in the amount of $45,333. I don't know if anybody from the sheriff's office is on, is Ardith on or anybody? This is an annual contract that we've done for a number of years.
Yes.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Nathan,
Second.
second by Scott. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item number C is discussion of possible action authorizing the chair to execute a contract for employee of record services for the Mississippi Valley Workforce Area Executive Director with the Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission. Do we have anyone from the Regional Planning Commission on the board? I don't think we do.
No, I don't think they
Yeah.
plan to be here.
So I'll just lead with this, is as you all recall, part of in the workforce reorganization, WIOA, as they call it, we created an 8-county workforce area. Part of the issue why we had to reorganize was our current service providers acted as a fiscal agent, a service provider, and a training provider. And the federal legislation says no. And so there are specific roles in WIOA that have to be accomplished, and you cannot serve, there are some you can't have together. One is the service provider and the fiscal agent. So one of the questions was, so now the Southeast Regional Planning Commission, so if you're not familiar with them, they're like bi-state. They're the bi-state that works with the counties down south. So we know those folks, they know how to deal with federal money, federal grants and all of that. They have been selected as the fiscal agent by the group, and the group but they cannot be, the fiscal agent cannot be the employer of record for the board staff. So the board staff and executive director has to be, and they must have an employer of record. So they approached Muscatine County. We talked about that a few months ago. Basically, we would pay this. They would give us plus a 3% admin fee, I believe was the number, pay, salary, and benefits, which is all managed by this board. And then, so we will, and that's why the contract with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning, because that will be reimbursed through them. They're the fiscal agent.
And I did the original contract that they sent, there was a few items I had issues with, so I've worked with them to kind of clean all of those up, so it reflects what we actually do and intend to do.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Santos,
Second.
second by Nathan. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item D is discussion of possible action to appoint Tom Harper to fill a vacancy on the Muscatine County Board of Adjustment for a term ending March 31st, 2023. Eric, did you want to talk a bit about that, or? This was the vacated position due to the change in legislation this year on the Board of Adjustment,
And we advertised for it, quite a long advertisement period, and gotten absolutely no got no applications. Tom Harper, who served on it before and currently serves on the zoning commission, reached out to Eric and said he would be interested, did he have to fill out a new application? And since we have multiple applications already on record, I said, no, we wouldn't make him do that. But at this point, if you guys are interested in appointing him, he's willing to serve.
Well, we only have 4 members, correct, and that causes issues with quorum and
We
meetings.
have the same issue with with the zoning commission as well. We only have 4 members and advertised that same period and got no applications.
So as everybody recalls, we probably need to try to help Eric out here a little bit. The new legislation on the Board of Adjustment and Zoning Commission, you cannot have residents of an incorporated township in there. So they must all be rural residents now, and that has been our challenge. So we need to probably start pounding the pavement out in the country to find rural residents that would be willing to serve in these capacities, so that we can continue to do business and move things along.
I move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Nathan, thank you.
With,
And I'll second.
sincere gratitude.
I have a second by Scott, yes, and thanks to Tom for stepping up here. So I have a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Item E is discussion of possible action to approve Resolution 07-27-2001, transferring funds from the General Basic Fund to the Building Maintenance and Repair Fund. So you'll,
I
okay.
move to approve.
So I have a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Doug. This is a roll call vote. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Scott?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
I vote aye. Nathan?
Aye.
And Santos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item F is discussion of possible action to approve Resolution 07-27-2002, transferring funds from the General Basic Fund to the Capital Projects Fund.
So moved.
Motion by Nathan,
Second.
second by Scott. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote. Nathan?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Santos?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Item G, discussion of possible action to approve Resolution 07-27-2003, transferring funds from the General Basic Fund to the Debt Repayment Fund.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Doug. Any discussion?
I want to give you guys some information on the debt repayment fund. We had some discussion previously about using that money to pay off some of our current debt, in preparing to possibly issue debt for the Muscatine levy project. So I've been looking into that and rework those numbers a little bit. The call date on the ones we talked about was not until June 1st of 2022, and I thought that could be an issue. So with this transfer, that will give us $2,855,000 in debt repayment. If we use $1,855,000 of that to pay off the jail, DHS, HVAC, the final payment, pay it early, and then the maintenance building, $1,480,000 at 3.3%, which is why I picked that one. It looks like bids possibly will come in for the current year at under 3.3. So that will still leave us $1 million in debt repayment, but it will drop our levy rate in 2021 from 73 cents this year to 62 cents next year. So
Okay.
potentially, we could borrow the money we need for our match, if we get economic development dollars for our match for that levy project, and still reduce the levy rate for the county.
Okay.
So with that,
Okay, very good. Okay, so this is any other questions or comments? This is a roll call vote. Santos?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, item number H, review the Muscatine County Health and Dental Insurance Fund balance as of June 30, 2020.
That spreadsheet was in your packet. As you can see, the fund is in healthy condition.
Funds in healthy condition. I see our health spend rate's a bit higher than premium rate, but we're doing okay.
And we raised the premiums again July 1st, so, you know, that's always a little bit of a guessing game
Right.
about how to raise the premiums, how to anticipate health insurance costs.
Yeah.
The
I
one
think we
thing
were at
I will-
191 versus 202 average, so we were about the last rolling 12 months, so.
And the one thing I will note, you see a significant decrease in dental for May and June, for what was paid in May and June. And
Nobody
that's
could go to the dentist.
directly COVID related.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I expect to see numbers spike.
You might see that in the health too, I suspect.
I expect to see numbers spike in the next couple of months for dental as people get caught up with their dental appointments.
Yeah, but I hope that doesn't come back and bite us on the other side. Waited too long. Okay, thank you, Nancy. Any questions or comments about the mental health or the health and dental insurance fund? Okay, anything else for the board this morning, Nancy?
I don't have anything, you share it?
Next item is to receive information from county employees. Their county employees wish to share. Brian?
Good morning. I'm going to give you the latest update on Muscatine County's COVID-19 information. This is information based on yesterday. There were 6 positive cases for a total of 764. 40 negative cases since 10 a.m. yesterday. On Saturday, there was 1 additional death, so we have a total of 46. There's been 45 additional tests for a total of 6,118 in Muscatine County. 674 have recovered, and 13% of the tests since 10 a.m. yesterday were positive. That's the information I have with you at this time. Again, as I mentioned last week, we still have a slight uptick with our numbers, so continue to work with public health, monitoring the situation.
So we're still, looks like we're tracking around 100 cases, which is about half of what we were at our peak. So we've had improvement over the peak of the issue, but people still need to be cautious and
Brendan, those
practice.
5, are they from yesterday or from where are those 5 positives that you
This
just mentioned?
information was, as of yesterday, Sunday. Information comes out at 10 o'clock each day.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, Brian.
I just wanted to say that we've been holding at 45 deaths for, it seems to me like quite a number of days.
Yeah.
It's been for weeks, yes.
Yeah.
It's been weeks, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so, that is very promising to me, that we've been able to
There
get
was
a
actually,
positive direction there.
there was actually, for the state of Iowa, 0 deaths in a 24-hour period, so that was,
That's
great.
one positive, like, yeah. Yep, okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else, other county employees? Keith?
Just quick update on the main projects. On F-58 Old Highway 6, they're finishing up, they're towards the east end, finishing up on a 54-inch today, and then they have a twin 54-inch over by the Walcott city limits to do. So they might get the culvert work finished this week. I think they're still tracking to start, I see August over there. I think we're still tracking to start the sub drains by the end of the week. And then on G28 paving, they paved Saturday. Had a fairly good day, and then also the day before finished up the interchange at Funks Hill. So they plan to pave, and the weather, plans are change all the time, but they do plan to pave again in a couple days and get to Hilltop subdivision. So that's, we're making progress there.
Is the timeframe on schedule on Highway 6 for the most part, Keith?
Yes, I think so.
Good. I have questions about that. I have some people that live in that part of the county up there in the north side, and I have questions about that. How soon is that thing gonna be ready? I said, I think we're running on time.
Yeah, it's taken a while. We had an unusual, well, not an unusual request, but we had a request.
I'm not sure why they do this, but when they move those big propellers, sometimes they're going that way and the truckers want to end up at the Highway 80 truck stop and they can't make the turn up there, so they want to come down like to Stockton and go over and back up. Well, they can't.
Yeah.
Because they can't get through. So, but I mean, it's really just their goal to end up at that truck stop. I'm not sure why.
There's more clearance in that T, I'll say, of 6
Yeah.
going north to I-80. They got more clearance there, and I understand completely. I've watched them try to navigate that off-ramp before, and it's a challenge, shall we say.
Yes, sure. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Jim?
Just wanted to give you a quick update on alternative locations for jury selection. We've been talking about, we met with the school last Friday, and they were a positive response. We had talked to a church in town here the week before, and they were a positive response, and we are looking at another church this Friday. So we would have, the idea would be to have several locations, so we could deal with Monday jury trials and Wednesday jury trials, and have, not, if we have to end up doing them at that location, not be out of sync in terms of picking juries. That said, it's raised or will raise an issue that we probably need to be aware of, and that is we will need to consider providing these folks with the county insurance certificate. So I'll talk to Nancy about that today and double check with ICAP just to make sure that, you know, we're doing something a little different here and being off location and not in the courthouse. And just want to make sure that, obviously don't expect anything to happen. These are all handicap accessible buildings with proper facilities and access and parking and all of that. But you know how things go when
Right.
you lean on somebody in their good graces and then you have a problem. So anyway, I just wanted you to be aware of that. I'll check into that and make sure that that's part of our discussion. And if there's anything that comes back out of that from ICAP, then we would have that discussion so we don't walk down a road that is fraught with a problem for ourselves or
Yeah,
anybody else.
you know, just thinking, you know, we might wanna also understand their insurance limits, so if it's something that would have to come under their coverages and we would need additional limits, we should consider helping with that, I would think.
And so far, they have, the two that have given us the nod are very willing to help. There's no cost. So I anticipate the other church would be the same. That said, there are gonna be some incidental costs associated with doing it, just in terms of security and those sorts of things. But I think so far, we've been blessed to have received people that are really willing to cooperate and help us. So, which is a good thing.
Yep.
So, anyway, just wanted to make sure you were up to speed on both of those things, since we did have several locations, and just want to make sure we don't run into an issue with insurance.
Okay, great, thank you, Jim. Okay, anybody else, any other county employees? So, nothing, no other county employees, this is time we open up for the public to receive comments from public. Do we have any members of the public? I think Christie will have everything unmuted. If there's anybody, please speak up. She's indicating there's no one on the line. Okay, so,
I had a few questions. Sherry, did we move everybody, or did they start moving into the county building? To the new maintenance building? Have we started?
We do not have a certificate of occupancy, but we, Mike Nolan talked to the city and got permission to start moving some things over. The end of last week, our staff were in doing some cleaning, so I don't know if they're moving anything today or not.
the certificate of occupancy is held up because of the ADA the handrails on the exterior.
Yep, just a couple things, so.
Yep.
But they were okay with them starting to move some things over there, so we just couldn't occupy the building, yeah. So, but staff wanted to clean it up good before, because the contractor's cleaning up the space and their idea of cleaning up the space were not one and the same.
I understand.
And one last question. I know a couple weeks before Nancy went on vacation, we talked about potentially open up or looking at a social media site for the county. Is that something that we can still look at in the next coming weeks? Okay, good. That's all I had.
Okay, anything else? Seeing nothing, meeting is adjourned.